What's up, everyone? It's the Fantasy Endgame, and it's mock draft time once again. We're about a month out from the actual regular season, but fantasy football season is pretty much in the air. Training camp, been going on, all the hype, all the rumors, and it's time to get at it. Even though your actual draft might not be for another week or two or three, who knows? Maybe you draft right before opening kickoff. It doesn't matter. You can't get enough mocks in, right? I feel like, Chris, we've probably done about 10,000 mock drafts over the last couple of years. It feels that way, at least. I never get enough of it, though. Never was like, oh, man, I have to draft again. Like, I don't think I've ever.
Who says that? Who says that?
I don't say that. So anyways, I got some bad news, though. If you were online live right now and hoping to jump into this mock, we are already full. But tell you what, there's a silver lining here. There's good news. You can be one of those people who joins the draft before we go live. It's easy. We've had a lot of signups just in the last couple of weeks, and that is to flockfantasy.com/endgame. Join the flock there. You get access to everything you see listed, including our draft domination course. We already did that for Dynasty, and our rankings for all the preseason, and some bonus stuff on there, but also the mock draft channel where you can join us before we even go live. We'll be doing more of these, don't worry. And also, if you want to draft with us in actual full season leagues, that's the way to do it to it. You have to be a member. So flockfantasy.com/endgame. Check it out now. But it's time to get to the mock. There's no reason to put that link out there. We're full. So everyone else sit back and watch and see what happens.
All right, and just real quick, we're doing 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a tight end, 2 flexes, full PPR. Keith starting us off tonight. Oh, I got
he was ready. All right, he was ready.
No surprise, Jefferson. Hopefully he had some internet issues last night. Let's hope he can actually make his picks tonight.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's interesting. You know what? Every league we do, sometimes we'll switch up the roster spots a little bit. Any thought? We never really considered, do we do a 14-team mock? That might take too long. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I just know most people are in 12 teams or 10 teams. I've played in 14-team leagues. Certainly, they're tougher, no doubt about it. But yeah, we'll probably just stick with 12.
Yeah, I think for time's sake, partly, and also that's just the most common, right? 14, and then especially if you get to 16, done that too.
16,
it's definitely more challenging, but I like that. The deeper, the better. You really have to know those sleepers. You really have to think about depth. And what's up, Josh Russ? Nice to be back. Haven't done one since last season. It's been too long.
That has been way too long. So pretty standard so far. I think most people would have McCaffrey inside that top 4, but for us, it's pretty standard, I think.
Pretty much. Cup and Hill sometimes get switched here. In fact, I think Hill, for the most part, goes before Cup. Just depends. NMB is with us pretty much every week. Not in this draft, doesn't look like, but has a question. In a superflex redraft, who do you like at the 1.9? Very specific there. I mean, not knowing who's available, but if it's superflex at the 1.9, you still looking quarterback?
Yeah, I will say the 1.9 in a superflex can be tough because when you're thinking about the quarterbacks, I mean, obviously you got Mahomes, Hurts, Allen will probably be gone. All right, hold on. Well,
CD's not falling to you, and Kelce's not there. All right.
I know. So, anyways, you'll probably have right, Hurts, Mahomes, Allen will certainly be gone. I'm sure Burrow, Lamar, Fields will be gone. And then it's kind of like, will Herbert be gone? Will Trevor Lawrence be gone? Or will people start, or will people take Jefferson or Chase or CMC if that's their thing. That's the thing about the 109. That's where you're starting to get to that point where it's like you don't necessarily like you could go other direction, right? You could go another direction. So like I would say if I was on the clock at the 109 in a super flex and it was say Trevor Lawrence or Jefferson or Chase, I'm going Jefferson or Chase, even though I do like Trevor Lawrence. But I'm going to get that, like, potential number one wide receiver and then
I think
see what quarterback comes back.
Yeah, this is where I think the thinking is different from a dynasty. In a dynasty, like you want that quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence, obviously so young, you got years and years. In a redraft, I think it's a little easier to just say, okay, I'll take the stud receiver if you got one of those top guys there, as opposed to, maybe like the Lawrence Watson kind of range where not a huge drop off just yet. But I mean, I would imagine a lot of even in super flex leagues, probably not the first 8 picks are all going to be quarterbacks. I think someone will have taken Jefferson by then. Probably someone has taken Chase by then. If that's the case, I'm probably going with the best quarterback available. So kind of depends. And at the 2-4, I mean, if you went quarterback in the first round, I don't feel obligated to take quarterback in the second round. In a redraft league, I'm probably going with a stud receiver.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's up to some of our loyal viewers? Code Blue, we know who he's taking at the 1-9 if he's there, and that would be Justin Herbert. Yes, finally. Well, better late than never.
Better late than never. Got you in the mock.
Speaking of late, Marquise in the house, a little late. That's all right. Happens.
Come on.
Joe, what is up, Joe? All right, so he autoed Mahomes. I mean, that's a little earlier than usual. Not the worst pick though.
Yeah.
I'd say it was the best pick. It's just not the worst pick.
Hopefully he can get back on. Let's see.
So far, and of course I shouldn't say anything, not to steer anybody either way, but it happens anyways. Even though this is a 2 receiver as opposed to 3, but 2 flex league, not too different so far from our typical. We have not seen more running backs taken early yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I still feel like in this format, pretty much in any draft outside of a standard scoring league, meaning a non-PPR league, I'm either going 0 running back early or 1 running back early, unless there's just a crazy value, right? Like, something crazy happens, like Tony Pollard falls to me in the 3rd or something like that. Then, okay, I'll suck it up and I'll take the second running back because it's like just too good to pass up. But especially in like a 2 flex league, it's very rare that you're going to flex 1 running back, let alone 2. Because think about the end of the season. When you get towards the end of the season, like it's easy to sit here right now and be like, hey, I'm starting, whatever, like Bijan Robinson, Nick Chubb, and Najee Harris. Like they're fine. But when you look at the end of the season, when the running backs have been decimated, RB2s are scoring like 11 or 12 points. That's like an RB2 at the end of the season. You don't want to be flexing an 11-point running back. You want some upside. So, yeah, in this format, I'm still going to put more of a premium on wide receiver.
You see what happened. Like the very moment I said what I said, we got 3 running backs in a row taken. So it happens.
Well, which makes sense. This is about where, if you, like I said, I'm either going 0 or 1 running back early. So if you're in this spot and you grabbed a wide receiver in the first, nothing wrong with a running back here.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much where those guys would go anyways. So where if I'm taking 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, which I almost never am, but if I am, there's one place I just did yesterday was an underdog draft, and that's different because it's half PPR and running backs. It's best ball. like running backs rule, you're not making any waiver claims. You're not trading.
No.
That's it. You need stud running backs if you're going to win. So that's the one exception. That's a different beast.
Right. Yeah, totally different beast. Totally different beast.
A couple questions here, just general fantasy questions. Jim is in the in-game redraft 2 league, and then asking about platforms. So all our leagues are in Sleeper right now. That's just our obviously favorite platform. Talking about NFL fantasy or Yahoo, and we're going to say the same thing. Yahoo is probably the next best.
Yeah, Yahoo's my next favorite. I've had some people say that ESPN has gotten good, but the one time I played on ESPN, it was awful. It was so bad that our league moved off of it the next year. It was like, yeah, it was so bad. Maybe they've made improvements. I don't know. But for me, it's just Sleeper and Yahoo. Those are the only two I play on these days.
Yep. Same thing. I don't know that I've ever tried NFL's fantasy. Maybe one time I did, but I don't remember it. ESPN, no. So yeah, for me, that's it. Sleeper, Yahoo. And then I feel like you should know this. NMB's always in our mock drafts saying how to get in these with the flock. Is there a link you access?
Yes. So in the flock Discord, we have our section, the fantasy endgame section, and in there we have a mock drafts channel. And I post the link usually 2 to 3 hours before the draft. And then I just put an announcement saying, hey, link's available. And, if you're free tonight, go join, and then you get in. So yes.
Easy as can be. I mean, it's just all mock drafts, and once it's in there, you join if you want, and if you don't, then that's it. So yeah, it is.
Then you can also you can also get in our leagues. We have 4 leagues on Flock that are still filling. I think they're all at least halfway full or close to halfway full. But we're not drafting for a couple more weeks, so there's still time. So if you want to play in leagues with us, you get in there. You also get access to that. Get one of these shirts. So it's a lot more than just the mock drafts.
Oh yeah.
All right, where are we at here?
We already got a couple. One filled up pretty quickly. A couple almost full. We're probably gonna have to open up some more. We'll see how many leagues we can handle this year. And then the buy-ins.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't planning on doing this many, leagues, but man, they're filling up so fast. We might have to suck it up and do some more.
Hey, if playing in more fantasy football leagues is the worst thing that is happening, I'm not going to complain. The buy-ins are not that much, so if you guys are worried about entry, and we've had people asking for more. Like the $25 league filled before the $10 leagues, so we're not doing $100 or anything like that. No huge buy-ins. We're not doing high stakes leagues. More for the fun and the learning, but oh man, don't know if I love my options here.
So, other than the Mahomes auto, it's been pretty standard here. Gibbs feels a little early there for Heath. Gibbs in the early 3rd. But at the same time, I mean, I talked about this last night when somebody took Andrews at the 2-3 turn. Like if you're picking, the second pick in the 3rd round and you want Gibbs, you got to take him there. He's not going to make it back to you, right? So sometimes you got to reach if that's the guy you want.
And I get that, looking at who's already gone after him, Jacobs, plenty of reasons to not be high on Jacobs or be worried about Jacobs. And then Najee is fine, but, some people disappointed from last year maybe don't see a ceiling for him as high as Gibbs. I understand that. I still feel like it's too early for all these running backs.
Yeah, the third round is really where it's like, man, I feel like a lot of times in the 3rd round, you're either picking, at least for me, it's like you're picking somebody you don't really want to take.
Yeah.
Or you're picking somebody earlier than you want to take them.
I feel like all the running backs are earlier than I want to take them. There's one guy who's there. I think a lot of people would take, and he'll probably go soon, but I'm not. Look, I got 2 receivers. I got 2 flex. I'm filled. If I wind up going 0 RB or late RB, whatever, it's fine. Got some people asking about 10-team leagues. In fact, we have like 3 different people asking about 10-team leagues. So Trust Loke with just the general advice for a 10-man league, but then we have more specific ones. Aiden, in a 10-man, I have the second pick. Chase or CMC. I mean, I don't think it changes that much.
No, I still go Chase. He's my clear number 2. I really think he has a chance to. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say like, Justin Jefferson won't be the number 1 wide receiver because he's amazing. But I think if Chase has a great chance to be that guy this year. So I'm definitely going Chase. As far as general advice in 10-team leagues, studs. It's even more important that you get studs. Like, of course, it matters on your starting lineup. If you're in a 10-team league and you're starting 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, a tight end, okay, then it's not like a typical 10-team league, right? It's fairly deep even for a 10-team league. But if you're in like a typical 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex league, I mean, there's no playing it safe. There's no, like, I'm not saying you have to be risky and but I mean, everybody's team is going to be stacked. Maybe not everybody's, but probably like 5 to 6 teams are going to be really, really good, and there's going to be hardly any separation between them. So you need guys who can potentially be league winners. Like, it doesn't make any sense to have that 15-point per game wide receiver if you could potentially draft that 20-point per game wide receiver. Even if the 20-point per game wide receiver has more risk, it's worth it in a 10-team because there's no other way to separate yourself in a 10-team, honestly. So, yeah, prioritize studs and really, really prioritize upside.
Yeah, I'd say it's a 10-team league. I feel more comfortable not having to take a running back right away because there is more depth, to it. So, yeah, I don't think it changes the very top of my rankings or really my first round rankings in any way. And in Bland saying maybe Kelce becomes more valuable on 10-team league. I don't know. I don't know if he does.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then another more specific question about a 10-team league here. All right, so Matt is asking Tyreek Hill or Bijan Robinson for the 4th pick in a PPR 10-team league.
I think they're both great picks, but I'm going Tyreek Hill. And as much as, we've talked about Bijan Robinson all off season, the reason why we talked about Bijan Robinson all off season is because he's not as obvious. Like, pretty much everybody knows Tyreek Hill is awesome. Like, we know this. Everybody knows this. You don't need to go out there and be like, draft Tyreek Hill. Like, everybody knows they're supposed to draft Tyreek Hill. But I still prefer Tyreek Hill, especially in PPR. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. He has that. I mean, I think Bijan is going to have plenty of huge games too, but Tyreek Hill on any given week can get you 30 to 40 points. So I'm going to go Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, just second what I just said. I don't change the top of my rankings list very much just because it's a 10-team league. I still have Hill, those first 4 receivers before I think running back. And when I think running back, I will think Robinson first. But yeah, I'm taking Hill. And it's funny, his reception perception just dropped, and it showed that he's pretty good. He's all green, pretty much all green everywhere. And what was it? I think Matt said, it's arguable whether any receiver has a bigger impact on this offense than Tyreek Hill. Because not just, what we did. So we did in Kansas City, and to some extent, Mahomes doesn't really matter, but he stretches the field and he opens up so much space for everyone else. And that's why the running game is so effective. That's why you'll see it doesn't matter if they put a running back. They can't just, push up and stack the box and play the running game. They have to sit back and try to stop the Tyreek Hill home run. So And Waddles is pretty good too. Not gonna lie, he's pretty good. So but I'm going Hill. And Loke was asking earlier, says, I hear that you push QB and TE up in a 10-team league, that you prioritize those positions more. I get that because you can say, well, there's a bigger difference between getting the number 10 quarterback and then one of the top ones. And, I don't know if I push it up that much. To me, it's if I'm not taking Kelce or Andrews, I'm still waiting on tight ends.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Bijan or Kelce, if it's a 10-team league?
Yeah, I'm not gonna move Kelce just because it's a 10-team league. He's gonna pretty much stay the same for me. Yeah, I'm not moving that. It's just more like when I'm drafting players. I mean, I'm always thinking this way anyways, but when I'm drafting players, like in a 10-team league, you need studs. Like, you know what I mean? You need studs. So if Kelce's on the board, or like say AJ Brown is on the board, and AJ Brown is a stud, but AJ Brown isn't going to be like the top scoring wide receiver, probably. I'm going Kelce over him. I might even go I'll probably go Kelce over Diggs in that format, because you need like complete difference making studs. So, but I'm not going to bump him way up just because it's a 10-team league.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't change anything too much. Got a trade question. All right. People making trades already. Love it. Should I trade Javonte, Christian Watson, and Khalil Herbert in a half PPR league? Not knowing all the particulars of it, I would just say I'll take Christian Watson over Javonte straight up for sure. And even if it's a half PPR league.
Yeah, I'm going with, well, yeah, if it's redraft, I assume it's redraft. I'm going Watson in Dynasty too. I'm always going to go wide receiver, running back in Dynasty for the most part, obviously, not if the running back is significantly better. But even a half PPR, I just still don't expect a lot from Javonte Williams this year. There's a big difference between not being on PUP and participating in training camp and even playing in the games and actually being effective, right? And we saw this with Cam Akers last year. Cam Akers played. Cam Akers got a lot of run. He didn't do a whole lot until like week 16 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Whatever it was. Like, he did nothing pretty much the whole year coming off that. I get it. Like, he played like down in the playoffs the year before, and he was awful when they won the Super Bowl. But it takes time. It takes time from these serious injuries. He had a multi-ligament injury. He tore 3 tendons in his knee. Like, the fact that he's not on PUP is amazing, to be honest. But it still doesn't convince me that he's like 100% and is going to be awesome this year. I still think he's going to struggle. I don't think he's going to be very efficient. There's always major risk of an injury to some other part, to his other leg, some other part of his leg. So give me Watson and Herbert.
Easily Watson and Herbert for me. I don't even like Herbert that much. I just take Watson and use a throw in. That's fine. All right. How about this? We kind of answered this earlier, but want to make sure if he wasn't watching earlier, 805 Fishing, how do we join the cash prize leagues? Well, join the Flock, flockfantasy.com/endgame if you're not in there already. And we'll flash up that information again at the very end. But that's it. If you join, get a membership there to our Flock, and then you'll be able to join these mock drafts, but also join our redrafts.
Yep.
There it is. Alexander, an interesting question here. Alexander's channel. He's got the 110 in the super flex. So he's saying, if I get one of those receivers, assuming I guess everyone else goes quarterback, what quarterback should you target in the third round if I take a stud running back or wide receiver? So in other words, he's saying if he waits on quarterback until round 3, what type of quarterback, do you think will be available, and then would you get?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're probably going to be looking at guys like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, guys like that as your QB1, which can be okay. I mean, if you get, if the rest of your team is just loaded because you waited on QB, then it's okay. But also realize, it's super flex, so you're going to probably have to go quantity over quality at quarterback because, especially for your QB2, because your QB2 might be somebody like, I don't know. I mean, maybe even a guy like Geno Smith could be there in the third round, to be honest, though. So probably guys like that. Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, maybe like a Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, guys like that.
You're going to want to look for guys with either potential for high passing volume, meaning they just throw it a lot because they're that type of quarterback and because their defense isn't very good, like a Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins is perfectly fine. He would be a great option in round 3. Or guys that have rushing upside. If Anthony Richardson is still there, that might make sense. I'm also kind of lumping in with the Cousins, but maybe in the next round or two, I get Jared Goff. Jared Goff will have some big games.
True.
He'll throw it a lot. Their defense is not going to be really that much better this year, I don't think. So Goff is perfectly fine to me. Someone like that. Geno Smith would be another good one. I just know that you want to snipe me.
Nope, I don't think so. Actually, let me see here. Yep, actually, I think I'm going to because there's no point taking QB yet.
Thank you for that.
I almost went QB there, but then I realized that only Buff Garfield doesn't have a QB.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a QB, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's a couple QBs I'd be fine with here. So if he takes one, I'll just take whoever's left over.
There you go. Once again, I wait too long for a running back, but that's just a running theme with me.
So Clayton's saying Anthony Richardson's been falling around 4 in all of his superflex redrafts. I mean, yeah, if Anthony Richardson is falling that far, I would happily just wait and grab him. Like if you can get a stud running back and 2 stud wide receivers and then grab him, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's got that upside. I'm not completely sold on AR, especially if Jonathan Taylor's not there. I mean, who knows what that offense is going to look like? Could be one of the worst in the league again, but we'll see.
It might be good for him if JT is not there, though, because now he might run the ball 15 times a game.
Yeah, they might have to pass it a little bit more. They might have to have him run the ball. You're right. I mean, it'll make the offense worse, but it might make his fantasy numbers better.
They keep signing these running backs that are like, who? Huh? What? Like, they have like 10 running backs, but none of them are any good, other than JT, of course. But
the Kareem Hunt thing that didn't pan out yet, did it?
No, apparently he wants too much money.
Oh, he's holding out for a third team to come swooping in and throw the bag. I mean, come on.
I don't know. These guys, like these running backs, they think
the agents. It must be the agents.
Something, but I mean, Kareem Hunt was terrible last year, just terrible. Like, I was actually looking at his stats on Player Profiler. Oh, even in the receiving game, he was just awful last year. Like, there's a 99% chance Kareem Hunt is total dust. Like, he is done as a productive NFL running back.
That's what's funny is I think everyone's vastly overestimating the impact he could have. Like if he goes to New Orleans, like, oh, that means Kendra Miller is worthless. No, I don't
Yeah,
know what it means.
it's like, yeah, okay.
Don't think so.
Yeah, people are definitely overvaluing Kareem Hunt, and it's the same thing with Chubb. They're overvaluing the impact of him being gone will have on Nick Chubb because he had no impact on Nick Chubb last year.
No.
Nick Chubb pretty much played without Kareem Hunt last year already. We saw it.
Yeah, exactly. No, not much is going to change. I think people are remembering Kareem Hunt over his career, but not last year specifically.
Yeah. Ooh, it's pretty early for Tank.
I was going to take James Cook, but oh well. Yeah, that is early for Tank, so I don't get him.
He's getting a lot of hype. He's getting a lot of hype right now.
I'm all for that. I've been talking about him since NFL draft. He's a guy, and then landed in Jacksonville, and people thought, it's a terrible situation. ATN is already there. Like, no, it's bad for ATN. It's not bad for him. And that's why back when we were in rounds 3 and 4, I guess round 4, Etienne is the guy I was looking at. Okay, if I take a running back, I'm not taking Breece Hall. I thought it's too early for Walker and too early for Dobbins. And, I like both Walker and Dobbins, but I felt it was just too early. So I was like, okay, do I take Etienne here or do I just go receiver? It's like, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to pull the trigger on Etienne.
Yeah, Etienne's such a tough one.
And I still think he'll be good. I still think he's RB2 caliber. Just don't think he's going to step up and have like a huge, season. I think 4th round is probably about right, but I don't know. I'd rather have a good receiver there. And I had DJ Moore in my lap, and then Christian Watson was my other choice. So yeah, I'll just keep prioritizing receiver.
Ooh, early Dalvin Cook, early Kamara Cook, back to back.
Okay, so 8.8 too early for Kamara. Now that we know what the situation is,
I'm just gonna say what I've been saying all off season. Any round is too early for Kamara for me. I said it last year. I said Kamara is dust. I'm not drafting him. I didn't draft him. I never regretted not drafting him. But I did regret trading him for two leagues because I'm a sucker who fell for his remember he had those 2 really good games in week 3 and week 4 or something. And I'm like, oh, maybe I was wrong about Kamara. No, I'm just a sucker who went out and traded for Kamara and regretted it. Not even starting him in my fantasy playoffs. I can't even start the guy. Now he's a year older, even dustier. And last year he was competing against Tony Jones and Dwayne Washington for touches. Those were the running backs on the roster. So basically there was no competition. He was getting plenty of work. He was awful. Now they have Jamal, who we know is going to take him and Taysom Hill are going to get all the touchdowns, probably. They drafted Kendra Miller. He's not going to play for 3 games. There is not a round where I'm drafting Kamara this year. I didn't draft him last year. I'm certainly not going to do it this year.
Yeah, I'm saying he's completely undraftable. I would take him if he was still there in the last couple of rounds just for depth. But we have to move beyond someone saying about Mixon being a steal. You can't with running back specifically. You cannot look at resume. What they did in the past can only be held against them. The fact that they were good in the past just means they have more wear and tear on them. It just means that they've already gone through their most successful seasons. You want the guy who hasn't gotten there yet. And so, Shane, I'll take him over Kamara. Let me see. Who else? Tank Bigsby. I'm taking him over Kamara. So, Mixon, that's why has Mixon slipped so much? Because he wasn't very good last year.
Yeah. I don't know. We were having this debate last night. I guess Mixon is okay there. This is the problem. Mixon to me feels like last year Ezekiel Elliott. where people look at the offense, look at the player, and say, well, he's still going to get all the volume. And it's like, yeah, he's going to get all the volume, but he's terrible. Like there's only two things. Hold on, let me make this pick real quick. So there were only two things that saved him last year. Number one, that was his 5-touchdown game, which, hey, that's awesome. He won you 1 week. That's great. He won you 1 week. And he had 60 catches, by far the most he's ever had. So he's probably not going to have a 50-point game again. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. And even 60 catches is asking a lot for this guy. So, I mean, you take out that 50-point game, he averaged 13 PPR points per game. And now he's a year older. He's well over the not really the age, but well over the touch mark where we know running backs don't get better. They only get worse. Maybe the elite ones can stay the same, but he's not one of those guys. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm just not drafting him because kind of like Zeke last year, like people talk, oh, he's fine in this. Like, oh, this is too low for Zeke. But really, where would you have been happy of drafting Zeke last year? What round? No round. Like no round, right? Maybe like round 10 because he scored some touchdowns. Maybe like round 10, right? So it's the same thing with Mixon. It's like, yeah, you could talk yourself into it right now, but when he's out there getting like doing nothing week after week until he falls into the end zone, like you're not going to be happy. You're not going to feel like you got a value.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it's you can't go by name value. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's just
this one. I wonder, and I'm assuming here, Clay, you're talking about Dalvin Cook because he went right after Kamara. I mean, let's just assume right now he signs with the Jets. I mean, if he's splitting time with Breece Hall whenever Breece Hall is ready to go, or whoever else is in the mix, is he really an RB2 like week in, week out?
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to go somewhere where they don't have a running back. It would have to be a situation where like a starting running back gets a season-ending injury in training camp, which will probably happen, sadly, because it seems to happen every year in training camp. So we'll have some starting running back, or maybe the Colts really do trade Jonathan Taylor, and so they go out and sign Dalvin Cook as like a stopgap this year, right? Like, okay, fine, we'll go get Dalvin Cook. It would have to be something like that for him to be a solid RB2. If he signs to the Jets, it's not going to be a solid RB2. Yeah. If he signs to the Dolphins, he won't be a solid RB2. He'll have some RB2 games. He might even have some RB1 games, but he won't be because they got other guys there.
The weather beast himself keeps saying that the Shane thinking he's going to get cooked, but it's the same situation. Look, again, just like with the Jets with Sally, and just like McDaniel in Miami, these guys are disciples of the Shanahan 49er West Coast offense. They want a committee. That's why Shane, as much as you're hearing all this hype about him and how fast and how tough, that's great. He's not getting more than 15 touches a game, though. He's not. No. You cannot rely on him as your RB2. He should be an RB3 that you can mix in there. But yeah, he's not going to be like the next Dalvin Cook because he's not going to get the touches of Dalvin Cook just because, number one, where he is playing, but also I think you brought up this point quite a bit. Size kind of does matter to some extent. In this case, size does matter.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of. I know he's up to a whopping 192 pounds. We haven't seen a lot of 190-pound running backs, carry the ball 200 plus times and live through the season. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're really asking for a lot there.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys have some value. They'll have a role, but every week RB2 and, top 25 fantasy for sure. I don't think so unless there's an injury and, they have to carry more than expected, but you can't count on that.
Yeah.
Mason wants to know at the 1-7, going Diggs Allen or Kelce Mahomes crazy? Not crazy, just early.
I don't know. It's a little crazy for me because, if you're getting Kelce at the 7, you could potentially be getting, Tony Pollard, Devontae Adams, Devonta Smith, depending on your draft. I mean, look, in some drafts where people are going just nuts for running backs, you might be able to get like a Jalen Waddle. You might be able to start, Kelce Waddle or something like that. So I just think you're giving up too much by taking a QB in round 2. So for me, it's crazy.
And it's just not necessary because unless for some reason all your league mates are drafting quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds, well, if so, you should be loading up on receivers and running backs, and then you're ahead of the game. You don't need to have Allen just because you have Diggs. Like, I know the stack is nice, but it doesn't really give you some huge advantage if it's not a best ball league. Go Diggs, go a guy like Waddle, like you see who went here, or like let's say Olave or Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, whoever, a stud receiver. And in the 3rd round, oh no, Mahomes and Allen are gone. Take Lamar Jackson, who I didn't take over Josh Allen anyways. Or maybe you have to settle for Justin Herbert or Justin Fields, who could both be just as good as Josh Allen anyways. So no, don't reach just a stack. Uh-oh. Is it? Yep.
Uh-oh.
We have official, not just a believer, he's planning his fight, an official declaration of believerhood. Keith is saying he's officially a believer in MT because of the schedule. If he's healthy, yes, that if should be capitalized and it's italicized and underlined. Okay.
I mean, even let's give him best case scenario. He's healthy. Is he even the 3rd best wide receiver on the team at this point in his career? He's certainly
on that team. Yeah.
He's significantly worse than Chris Olave at this point in his career.
Yeah, Chris Olave should, regardless of health, be the top receiver.
Is he better than Shaheed?
Well, one thing is I just saw, I think Shaheed is hurt. I don't remember what it was. Where is he? Okay, he just got drafted after Michael Thomas. Growing injury. So he'll miss most of the preseason. It says no concerns for week 1. So if that's the case, then whatever, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, let's just go best case for Michael Thomas. He somehow stays healthy all year. He wasn't, people think he was good last year because I think, what did he have, 4 touchdowns in those 3 games?
Yeah, well, he had 3 games. Yeah, 3 games.
Yeah, three
whole yardage games. Was not good.
No, it was not. He's the kind of player he is these days is just not, I don't know.
A little too touchdown dependent.
I have issues believing he will smash even if he stays healthy.
Gotcha. And
even with the cream puff schedule.
I'm right there with you. But we have a believer. So, all right. And look, once you get past round 10, which, by the way, now that I'm looking, I noticed right before him, Zamir White going in the 10-12.
So people are finally. I mean, that does seem a little early, but I mean, people I think are starting to really wonder if we're going to see Josh Jacobs this year.
All I want to say, it's about time Zeus getting some respect on his name. But I'm going to hate if I don't get him in drafts. Let's see what else is going on in this round. We have a Zay Jones sighting. Zay Jones at the 11-5.
Yeah, that's one guy I don't understand why he's still being drafted. I mean, he was good last year, of course, but that's because it was, first of all, the passing game made a massive leap last year under Trevor Lawrence, and it was basically him, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram. Well, Christian Kirk is still there. Evan Ingram is still there. But now they have this guy named Calvin Ridley, who is better than Zay Jones. So I don't really get people still drafting Zay Jones, personally.
Yeah, his role is going to be pretty minimal. Like every once in a while, he'll kind of have a spike week. I don't know. He's kind of feeling a little Tyler Boyd-ish to me, where like put up some numbers, and then as soon as all of a sudden we have this stud receiver who shows up, kind of falls off, and he'll still have a role, and he'll still do something once in a while, just so you remember he's there, and just in time for you to pick him up off waivers and then drop him after 2 weeks when he does nothing.
That's what always happens, right? You have this wide receiver. He hasn't done anything for 4 weeks. He's the number 3 wide receiver on the team. And then 1 week he catches, 6 passes, scores a touchdown, and everybody runs out, grabs him off waivers, puts him in their lineup, and then he does nothing again because he's still the number 3 wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they do have.
It happens like all the time, every year, all the time.
And they do have a good receiving tight end as well, so they don't need to force him to the third receiver. And they have good running backs. So yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the number 4 target. I mean, you got to think Ridley, Kirk, and Ingram are the top 3 targets. He's the number 4 target. But look, there's gonna be some game, week 5, week 6, week 8, week 10, where he catches like a long touchdown. Maybe he catches a few other passes. People are like, "Oh my gosh, he had 100 yards and a touchdown." He was good last year, and they'll blow a bunch of fab on him, or they'll pick him up off waivers. They'll put him in their lineup because and look, the Jags play like one of the worst passing defenses this week. Oh, you got to start Zay Jones, and then he'll get no targets.
Yeah, 1 week wonders. It happens all the time. He will be definitely one of those. Thoughts on this? I'm going to just point out insane value on Waller, and Clayton is again tilted because he got sort of sniped ahead of time. But interesting 2 ways. Number one, Waller falling to the 12th round. Okay, that is pretty good value for starting tight end, but that is his tight end too. You think, I guess we can save this for when we break down the team, maybe because of the Hawkinson hold in situation?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is great value. And I guess in a league like this, you could technically flex them. So it's not like, in a typical league where there's only one flex and he's going to sit on your bench. So, I mean, I definitely think, even for me, I'm not super high on Waller. I know a lot of people are buying in on him, but I think at this spot, yeah, it's definitely good value for Waller.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason I would draft a backup tight end is if you're worried about your starting tight end, which then begs the question, why did you draft that starting tight end? But I think it's fine. I mean, you already got 5 receivers. We'll get to that later. All right, here's an easy one for you. I think it'll be easy, but maybe I'm wrong. Keeper league. Christian Watson, Chris Godwin, or Johnny Hopkins?
I mean, definitely Watson. He's younger. I think he'll be better. Definitely Watson.
I mean, you put those guys in order of their age. Obviously, if just in a vacuum, you're saying Watson because of age. There's a good chance Watson is just better than Chris Godwin and Hopkins this year anyways because of the team context. Because even if you're not sold on Jordan Love, don't tell me you're sold on Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. Don't tell me you even know who the starting quarterback is at this point and that it may not even matter. And then, Ryan Tannehill is Ryan Tannehill. There's a pretty hard cap on DeAndre Hopkins' ceiling this year because of that offense. Regardless of Tannehill and whatever he could do, it's going to be Derrick Henry 25 times a game, and then we'll throw it if we need to. So, yeah, it's Watson. And you know what? And Ian clarifying here, Ian being the Buff Garfield, just grabbing because it's late value. Hey, look, in a redraft league, if it's late and you see a guy who could be valuable fall, I don't mind doing that if you want trade bait. I mean, I don't know how valuable Waller himself will be, But look, the way I think about it also is, what if Waller is a serviceable, let's say just top 10 tight end, and you can start him every week and you're fine with it, and Hawkinson is a top 5, maybe top 3 tight end. Well, you could then trade Hawkinson for a starting receiver who's pretty good to a team that wants a tight end or needs a tight end, and then just get by with Waller, and there you're improving your team. Kind of like adding an extra 6th round pick there. So I get that strategy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I wouldn't do that with quarterback because it's a little different. Most people will be fine with whatever quarterback that they have, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did we just lose Pierre? Turn it to a circle.
No.
Yeah, and I also think in this, you turn it to a circle, but apparently you're still there. But I also think in this format, again, because there's 2 flex, you might even flex Waller some weeks. And it's never a bad thing to have 2 good tight ends, because tight end can be a nightmare position if you got to go to the waiver wire.
That's weird. Okay.
All right, you're back.
And just in time for the last pick. Wow, for a second, I thought you took MVS. I was going to freak out.
No, I don't think I've ever drafted MVS one time in my life.
Ever. That's funny. And there we go. So let's break it down. First of all, quick reminder, if you want to get in on this and draft with us, it's easy. You just join, if you haven't already, flockfantasy.com/endgame, and get a membership, and you can join. Just follow that link in the mock draft channel. And if you want to join the actual leagues that we're starting, we already got some redraft leagues that are full and others that are almost full. We're going to fill up as many as we can. So again, just join, and that's it. It's really simple. But let's see how we did today. Let's start with the believer himself. That is Keith at the 1 spot. Before he went all Michael Thomas, he went with Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, Ramondre, his boy, got Hollywood, Godwin, Kittle, Lockett, A.J. Dillon, Rashad Penny, Zamir White, Michael Thomas, Chuba Hubbard, and Jaden Reed.
I mean, I mostly like it. You got Jefferson and Hollywood at wide receiver. You got Stevenson, Dillon at running back. And then you're flexing Godwin, Lockett, most likely, maybe Penny, maybe MT if he stays healthy. You got Hurts and Kittle. I mean, I know you're probably going to say something about the Kittle pick, but I'm trying to think
yeah.
I think it's okay.
It's okay because
it's a solid team. Solid team.
I mean, I guess what I would say is those specific receivers that went in round 4 and 5, I would have preferred like Ayuk or Mike Williams or Kirk over Hollywood and Godwin, but it's not a huge difference. The Kittle pick, I mean, I think I would have rather had a better RB2 because, I mean, you're forcing yourself to start A.J. Dillon basically, right? Unless you're just kind of, I mean, yeah, the Zamir White pick could come up huge, but like, what if Josh Jacobs signs tomorrow? So that's the only thing. I think my issue more so is the Kittle pick because you waited on RB2, which who am I to talk, but still, yeah, AJ. I don't know. Do you think A.J. Dillon could carry the load as RB2?
Well, maybe not. But I always say, if RB2 is your weakness, that's not bad.
Right. It's okay. It's not my very favorite team, but it's solid. I think it's solid. Heath went with Jamar Chase. He went running back heavy early. Pollard, Gibbs, Terry McLaurin, then Swift, JSN, and Quentin Johnson got some youth there. We got a lot of youth on this team. Javonte and Ashane, some more rookies. Jameson Williams, a rookie quarterback, got Komet, and we got Terrace Marshall. Now this was a redraft league. So for a non-dynasty team, what do you think?
Yeah, dynasty team, this would be great. This has got to be the youngest team in the league for sure. But you got Chase and McLaurin at wide receiver. That's fine. You got Pollard and Gibbs. That could be great at running back. Flex-wise, I mean, you're looking at Swift, JSN, Johnston, Javonte, Ashane. I mean, you got potential there. You got a lot of risk there, but you got a lot of potential there too. So Then you got Richardson and Komet. This is a very boom bust team, right? This team could go either direction. This team could either like shock the league or, crash and burn.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This running back room should be the best in the league, but then it's like, okay, Gibbs is not a sure thing, right? And you took him 3-2. Swift, I'm all in on drafting Swift, but he's not a sure thing either, right? You're taking that chance. And then Javonte, who knows? And then Shane, I like him, but he's far from a sure thing. So, yeah, this is risky, which is not the worst thing, but going to be living on the edge. All right, Andrea went with Cup, Chubb, T. Higgins. That's a pretty good value, 3-3 there. Kenneth Walker, Justin Herbert, Zay Flowers, Connor, The Muth, Sky Moore, Romeo Dobbs, Rashawn Johnson, Eli Mitchell, and then Mechie.
All right, so you got Cup, Higgins at wide receiver. That's fantastic. You got Chubb, Walker at running back. It feels good. It feels very floory, but solid. So then your flexes, you're looking at Flowers, Connor, probably going to be your flexes most week. You got Herbert, you got Muth. You took some shot. Like, I like what you did at the end there. I like the shots you took on your bench. Again, I'm going to give this team another solid pick. It doesn't like jump off the page to me, but I think it's a solid team.
I'll say early, you got some good values. Higgins at the 3-3 is pretty good. Walker at 4-10, I think, is good. And then Herbert in the 5th round. I think you had a really good attack plan here. It like you said, I don't know that it has the highest ceiling out of any team here, but I think you're going to have a really solid lineup across the board. So it's a good team. The Sky Moore comes through. If Dobbs comes through, you're good. Clayton went with Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, and Lamar Jackson. Of course, you got Ayuk. And then Dotson, Elijah Moore, Dalvin Cook, Damian Harris, Kendry Miller, Rashid Shaheed, the guy we talked about earlier, Dulcich, and Justin Ross.
So, obviously wide receivers are great. Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, that's just tremendous weekly upside. Ayuk, Dotson, Elijah Moore at flex. You should be good there. Henry should be fine. I think he'll still be a top 10 running back this year, so he'll be good as your RB1. RB2, again, going to be an issue depending on where Dalvin signs, depending on, I do like Damian Harris, but now he's dealing with some kind of knee thing. Kendra, probably going to be a late season guy at best. So running back 2 will certainly be an issue here, but again, like I always say, if that's your issue, that's pretty good. You got Lamar, you got Dulcich late. I think this team has tons of upside. Everything but the RB2, just tons of upside. So definitely like this team, even with the Dalvin Cook pick.
Yeah, look, if Dalvin Cook does wind up being a RB2 by season's end, then yeah, this might be the best team so far. We haven't seen the rest, but I love the beginning of this draft. This is a team I would love to have. RB2 is the only issue, but again, if that's what your issue is, then that's a good one to have. Before we go to the next one, we had a couple of questions. Definitely want to get to this to Mr. Tresero Cinco. I love that. That's kind of where I'm at, isn't it? 305. I got 4th pick in full point PPR. Is it crazy to take Kelce at the 4?
Yes. I think so. I think you're taking him over guys like Cup, Bijan, CMC, depending on what you like. Look, I like Kelce, but I'm not taking him over a potential, somebody who can potentially be the wide receiver 1 or the RB1. That's just too big of an advantage. So, yes, I think 4th is too early for Kelce.
Yeah, you look at the top 4. We just went over team 4 here. It was Tyreek Hill. In a lot of drafts, it might be Cooper Kupp. Yeah, I'm taking one of those guys instead. The top 4 you see here should be the top 4 anywhere, any draft. And if it's not, then I would still take Bijan over Kelce. So, yeah, that's too early. I think that's a little too early. All right. Let's go to the next team here. Let's talk about Melt's team. Number 5 took Bijan, Devontae Smith, Josh Allen, Hopkins, Mike Williams, Mixon, Pitts, Kamara, Juju, Jamal Williams there, Zay Jones, and then Jalen Hyatt. just for some insurance, I guess, Dak Prescott at the end, which is kind of crazy now I see it, that Dak Prescott was not even drafted as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like what? Like how would Dak Prescott not go drafted?
Geno
Really, but
Smith and Anthony Richardson were both taken before Dak, which is, I don't know.
yeah, interesting. I like. I was gonna say I like the first, but they're really. I'll just say from Kamara on, I don't really like any pick. Sadly, I mean, I like the Dak pick is great in the last round, but you already got Josh Allen. Like, what are you gonna? Dak Prescott's just gonna sit on your bench every week. I like the first 3 picks. I'm still on Josh Allen in fantasy just because of his running and his rushing touchdowns. I think he'll be good enough in fantasy. The Hopkins pick doesn't really do it for me. There's other guys I like more than Hopkins. I do like that you got Mike Williams. I mean, Mixon is your RB2, I guess, is okay. But, man, I mean, your RB3 and RB4 is Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. Like, Juju, Zay Jones, Hyatt. Yeah. Not feeling a lot of this draft, sadly.
It's the every running back after Bijan is the issue because it's a lot of this team, really the second half of this team is kind of still like living in 2020. So Mixon and Kamara, gave them plenty of airtime. Juju was like, Zay Jones was like kind of a last year thing. So it's the depth, I think, is the issue. Even Hopkins, like, again, had his best days. He's fine, but I'd rather have him as my third receiver than my second receiver. So, yeah, that's the only thing. Limiting the upside for this coming year. Looking too much at what they did last year, the year before. Paper, CMC, Devontae Adams, Jacobs, and Etienne. So possibly flexing a running back here. And then Justin Fields, Pittman, Goddard, Sutton, Gabe Davis, and then Chase Brown, Kadarius Toney, Pierce, and Kyler Murray. We have another backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last pick, so it's not the worst thing, but I don't really understand the Murray pick when you have Fields.
Right.
But looking at the team, I mean, if Jacobs plays, of course, CMC Jacobs could be just an absolute monster running back. Adams, Pittman at wide receiver doesn't leave me feeling great. Like I feel okay, but not great. And you're probably flexing Etienne and Sutton, which again doesn't like it's okay. It feels okay, but not great. Yeah, I don't know. And then like Gabe, maybe Chase Brown. I don't mind him, but Tony Pierce, yeah. I don't know. This team just feels okay to me.
Yeah, on this team, I think it's the receiver depth, kind of what you're hinting at. Like, okay, you went running backs early. Fine if you want to flex a running back because you got 2 flexes, but then Sutton maybe will come through, and I'm okay taking Sutton. I would have taken him maybe around later. Gabe Davis, Tony. I mean, Gabe Davis and Tony are just guys I'm taking in best ball only, and I'm really not taking them in best ball either because their ADP is too high. So, that's the only thing. All right. Joe did make that one against CeeDee Lamb. Mahomes was an auto, but I'll assume he had him queued up because he doesn't normally go that high. Drake London, Dobbins, Akers, Pickens, Mingo, Bigsby, Mims, Jefferson, Schultz, OBJ, and DPJ. I wonder if he's still in dynasty mode here. Got some young players, but what do you think overall?
Yeah, I'll say the pick that, I mean, obviously the Mahomes pick jumps out, but we know it was an auto. But the other pick that jumps out is Mingo at the 7-7. I mean, we rarely see Mingo even drafted, let alone in the 7th. But he's got Lamb, London at wide receiver. I like that. Dobbins, Akers at running back. I like that. This is where it gets a little dicey because you're flexing 2 of Pickens, Mingo, Bigsby, Mims, Van Jefferson. Like outside of Pickens, we can't feel good that any of these guys are going to have a significant role right away. So your second flex could be giving you close to nothing a lot of weeks. So, instead of Mingo, I would like to see somebody even like Traylon Burks or Brandon Cooks or even Courtland Sutton, somebody we feel good enough about, like can give you production early in the year. So I like the first 6 picks, and then I think it kind of goes off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll say all of those, not Mahomes really, but especially like London, Dobbins, Akers, Pickens, those are guys I'm drafting a lot of, and Bigsby too. Yeah, Mingo, I just don't think he's ready to be a starting player for fantasy purposes. I think he's ready to be a starting receiver in the NFL, but it doesn't matter. It's just not going to be a high volume passing offense. Van Jefferson maybe could be a guy, but yeah, and uh, okay, here's Joe. Joe's chiming in, by the way, saying tried to recover, couldn't get it going. Yeah, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes like
Yep.
as soon as
Yeah.
you're like thrown off, it's like the rest of the draft, you just kind of like
Yeah.
frazzled. So it happens.
Definitely happens. Totally understandable.
And yeah, I think just Mahomes doesn't have to go that early because you would be fine taking one of those other quarterbacks later. I like a lot of your players, just a little younger receiver. And I will just say, Joe, for the record, I think you have drafted Van Jefferson in every single one of the mock drafts. No one can get Van Jefferson ever again because Joe has claimed him as his own, and that's all right. King of the World went with Kelce, JT, Cooper, Brees Hall, Aaron Jones, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Pacheco's, Charbonnet, Bateman Rice, Rondale Moore, and Tua.
Right off the bat, getting Tua in the last pick. That's really nice. If we'll assume JT plays somewhere. So running backs, JT, Hall. I think Hall is your RB2. I'm fine with that in the 4th round. Of course, assuming Dalvin Cook doesn't sign. Wide receivers, Cooper, Johnson, not bad. So then you're flexing Aaron Jones, Evans, Pacheco, Charbonnet, guys like that. Like this feels like a safe team to me. Obviously, if JT plays, of course, and Cook doesn't sign. Like, not a lot of these guys scream upside. I mean, Cooper, of course, Kelce, but a lot of guys here like Aaron Jones, Deontay Johnson, Pacheco, Charbonnet, where I don't really see a lot of upside with them. So it's not like a bad team or anything. It just feels like a very safe team to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. It's fine. I don't think there's any picks that stand out as particularly great or bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hall and Jones. I mean, I'm still preferring a receiver there. If you took Brees Hall, you think he's worth it, fine. And then I would have taken Christian Kirk instead at receiver. So yeah, I mean it's okay. And then we got you. It's your turn. You went Eckler at the 9, then Olave, Mark Andrews, Watson, Kirk, Addison, James Cook, despite me, Deshaun Watson, nice value, Algier, Mooney, Foreman, Singletary, and Spears. So you went, I guess we'll call it Hero RB. That's what all the cool kids call it. So Hero RB, and then Olave, Watson, Kirk, Addison. Absolutely love that receiver group with Andrews mixed in. Watson, great value. James Cook pick just kind of sealed it. You know, your running back depth after James Cook is a bunch of guys that honestly may not do anything. Algier might not sniff the field. He will, but maybe not like start. Foreman, I'm okay with Foreman. Singletary, I don't like Tajay Spears, but you probably won't ever need to use those guys other than a bye week. So honestly, the first 8 picks here, I think you crushed as well as you could from that spot. I don't think there's anything I would have done differently, to be honest. And on those last couple of running backs, I think actually Foreman is a good value. So did it come out the way you wanted here? Your plan?
Well, I didn't really have a plan, but yeah, I'm definitely happy with the way it came out. I mean, my RB2 is going to be an issue, but I keep saying if that's your issue, especially in this kind of format, that's okay. But I mean, I've got super high upside flexes, high upside wide receivers, a great running back, but I think will be a great tight end. I think will be a great QB. So yeah, I would love to have this team in a draft like this for sure.
I would too, but still not my turn yet. We'll go to that Kid King. Finally went to the later part of the draft. I like that. Going to the 10. Diggs, Waddle, Najee, Burrow, Pierce, Judy, Burks, and Cooks. And Joku there, which, by the way, you did snipe me on him. Khalil Herbert, Jacoby Myers, Jerome Ford, and MVS, the rare MVS sighting.
Yeah, so Diggs, Waddle is a great start. Najee Pierce is, again, I'm going to say like a solid running back duo. Feel, solid. Feels like the word. I think we see Burrow week 1. Not worried about it. That's good. I love the Njoku pick. I think between Judy, Burks, and Cooks, you should have 2 decent flexes. So that's good there. And then you got some shots on guys late like Herbert, Myers, Ford. I mean, MVS, okay, whatever. You drop them. It's fine. But overall, I definitely like this team.
Yeah, I like this team quite a bit. And as some people worried about Waddle, I did see today during the joint practice, he was hurt. It was a right side. He was holding his right side. He walked off on his own power. Too early to say. It doesn't seem like anything super serious. At least it's not anything leg, ankle, knee. So not worried there. Hopefully he's okay. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I don't love Judy, but he's okay. I think you'll wind up starting Cooks over him anyways. All right, and then there's my team. I guess I sort of went 0 RB. I went receiver with AJB, Garrett Wilson, Debo, DJ Moore, and then Trevor Lawrence. My running backs are Rachaad White, Monty, Brian Robinson, Samaje Perine, Jalen Warren. Evan Ingram is my tight end to stack with T-Law, and I took Gallup and Chark for depth.
Yeah, definitely another good team. I mean, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, that's great. Between White, Monty, Robinson, maybe Perine, you should have 2 startable running backs at least. And then you got Debo and DJ Moore at the flex. That's having those guys as your flex is really good. Got the nice T-Law Ingram stack. Definitely like that team.
I feel like I should have just taken Miles Sanders and then Rachaad White and then waited on quarterback, especially, of course, didn't figure Dak would be available last round, but still, yeah. I think I could have waited on quarterback, but I think this team will be fine getting by with this rotation of running back. So I think I kind of like it. And then Ian went with Barkley, the Sun God, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Sanders, Hawkinson, Madison, Gibson, Lazard, Nico Collins. Geno Smith is the starting quarterback. Darren Waller is the backup tight end, and Jared McKinnon.
Yeah, I think we talked about the Darren Waller pick already, so we don't need to talk about that anymore. But I think the most interesting pick to me is that he went Geno over Dak Prescott. That's interesting. But I like this team. I mean, you got St. Brown, Keenan Allen at wide receiver. That's fine. Barkley, Miles Sanders. That's a really good 1-2 punch at running back. And then your flexes are DK Metcalf, Madison, Gibson. Probably going to flex 2 of those guys. Lazard, okay, but you did grab Nico. You got Waller. Waller could even be a flex for you. So definitely a solid team.
Yeah, pretty good. That's where DK should be going, about 4th round. If you're going to get Hawkinson, that's reasonable place to take him in round 6. I personally would have taken Dak or Tua instead of Geno, but I don't think that'll be a big difference. And I would just say, Ian, always drafting from the 12th spot. I feel like, is it because you have that pick in your league that you know of? But kind of mix it up, right? If nothing else, just for fun.
I think he did say that he's picking from the 12 in his league, so that's why he keeps taking it.
All right, well, that makes sense. And final comment and question here. Yes, you should join the flock. Okay, so to join the actual endgame redraft leagues, just like we did it for Dynasty, just like you do for these mocks, we're going to go to flockfantasy.com/endgame. Any subscription level get you access to the mock draft channel. And then if you want eligible for entry in one of our redraft leagues, also get that information there. It's in the Discord, so show it there. Perfect. flockfantasy.com/endgame, and all the other stuff that happens to come with it, like our rankings and some articles and other stuff, not just from us, but from other creators as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. Trust me. Check it out. They're still doing the free trial, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you get a 2-day free trial if you want to just check it out first.
There you go. So no risk. Go ahead and do it. Check it out. All right, guys. We'll be back with another mock draft. Thanks, everyone, for joining.